Everyone, welcome to another KE Report webinar. I'm your host, Corey Fleck. I am happy to report that we are getting another exploration update from Novo Resources, traded on the TSX under the symbol NVO and on the OTCQX under the symbol NSRPF. I have a team with me from Novo Resources. We have Mike Spreadborough, Executive Co-Chairman and Acting CEO. I also have Kas De Luca, General Manager of Exploration, as well as Quinton Hennigh, Non-Executive Chairman or Non-Executive Co-Chairman. We are going to be reviewing the exploration plans for Novo Resources. We'll start more big picture and then move down into some of the more detailed exploration that's ongoing at the company's projects in Australia. There's a lot of exploration ongoing, so I think that a lot of people do want to get brought up to speed on what is happening here. Mike, let's bring everyone up to speed first. You can take us through a general overview of what the strategy has been this year and how that carries over into next year, please.
Thank you very much, Corey. So, first, on behalf of the Novo team, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners that are in areas across our large tenements, and we really, respect all of their members, elders, past, present, and emerging. So, Corey, as you said, not everyone may be up to speed with Novo, so we're an Australian-based, TSX-listed gold explorer, developer, and we really are focused on developing projects to get into production. As Kas will talk through, we've got a large exploration landhold in the Pilbara, 10,500 square kilometres. As I recently worked out, that's a little bit smaller than the land mass of the state of Connecticut. So it's a huge piece of land that we're exploring. And we really are focused on aggressive exploration, acceleration, funding the work that Kas will talk about, particularly in the Egina area. We aim to have 3 drill rigs totally continuously operating in 2023. So today's presentation, we're going to really focus on the middle of our Pilbara block called the Egina District. This is our high priority target, and Kas will do a great job of running through that. We're very focused on working on our ESG excellence and making sure we work well with all of our stakeholders. And important for everyone, we're debt-free and we've got $50 million in the bank. So we're well positioned to execute our strategy going forwards in 2023. And that strategy is very simple for Novo. Really core 3 elements for the management team and the board to focus on. Accelerating exploration, big tenements here. And let's not forget, we've got a little bit in Victoria. How do we focus on bringing the discoveries on board as soon as we possibly can? As many people are aware, we've had to shut down operations at the Nullagine Gold Project. Well, the second key strategy is doing the work to optimise that project, but also with the exploration team, what are the opportunities to define more oxide and sulphide resources that can go through the Golden Eagle processing plant. And then finally, we're always looking for opportunities that add value to the shareholders. So a very simple strategy for Novo moving into 2023, exploration, unlock value at NGP, and continually look for new opportunities given our great team that we have. So a bit of overview. So here's a picture of our Pilbara tenements. As I said, 10,500 square kilometres. What's really stands out is there are a lot of resource projects that have already been identified. The Pilbara, it really is elephant country. We're out there looking for the next big deposit. As I said, large-scale programs will continue in through 2023, and Kas will really focus on that middle picture, the Egina area. So we'll continue to update shareholders through 2023 as the drilling programs continue, and we'll continue to talk to Corey and others and make sure you've got a good outlook on what the program is. So, Corey, I'm going to hand over to Kas now and let her talk in depth.
Mike, let me jump in. One quick question in terms of the renewed focus here of the company into exploration. What are you looking for? Are you looking for a massive deposit? Are you looking for many gold deposits? What is the focus of the exploration that's ongoing now?
So I'd say two things. The holy grail for a gold deposit for us, and it's kind of the target that we give Kaz and the team, is a nice juicy, say 500,000 ounce gold deposit would really set us off. And definitely the targets that Kaz are looking are at those 250,000, 500,000 ounce gold deposits through that area. So they're the size we're looking at. We've also said to Kaz, if you see copper, nickel along the way, let's do some work. Let's get some value from that with shareholders. We probably won't develop it into a resource base, but we'd look at opportunities to divest any copper or nickel or lithium that we might have on our large tenements.
Okay. Thank you, Kaz. Let's get into it. Tell us about the exploration that's ongoing, please.
Right, thanks very much, and yeah, I'm looking forward to just talking through this with you guys now. So, as Mike pointed out, Egina is the centralised portion of our large landholding. It's around about an 80-kilometre strike length between Becher at the north, all the way down to Nunyerry at the south. Nunyerry North is the main project area down in the south. And, you know, we see this as a really fertile belt, and it's a really important part of our focus. It's one of the largest and most prospective parts of the tenement package that we have. We think there's a very high prospectivity scope and potential in this area, and we're really focused at the moment on Becher in the Egina, northern part of the Egina District, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. Nunyerry North in the south is another major area that we see high potential and a great prospectivity for work in the future. We've really only been able to do reconnaissance level programs at Nunyerry at the moment, so I'll tell you a little bit more about that. You can see from that map there, the yellow dots are actually the gold prospects that we have in our pipeline, and it's forever changing. But anything that fits onto this map it's actually a solid, and it's a good prospect with high potential for additional work. So all of these things will be worked up through the pipeline as we go forwards. So this is a close-up map in the north of the area here. So this is actually and the tenement area we call Becher, which is highlighted in that green call out on the figure. You'll see that we are in a very interesting and very fertile corridor. That one of the new discoveries in WA in the last few years has been the Hemi discovery from De Grey Mining. It's around 5,500 ounces in reserve at the moment, but the inventory is over 10,000 ounces of gold. 10 million ounces of gold, which is pretty fantastic. And we do think that some of the most important structures that are coming up from the northeast come right down through our project at Becher. It's really located only 28 kilometres away, and it's, you know, part of what we consider being a major, having major scope for a standalone project in that 80 kilometres worth of trend. There is a actual prospect at Becher, which is an epithermal vein that has been tested in the 1990s by other companies. But, you know, we see a lot more scope now for other project areas, particularly now that we're aware of Hemi and the rest of the De Grey different styles of mineralisation. So I'm sure there will be more than one style of mineralisation in that Becher area. The other really good news for us is we've been really successful this year with getting our heritage surveys completed, and this is part of the overall compliance to allow us to access some of these areas for drilling. So we've planned around 30,000 metres of air core drilling, which is really fairly shallow drilling to look for a gold dispersion or a blanket to vector us into the targets. So we've produced a definitive sort of more systematic targeting program, and we've actually now stylized the air core drilling on broad spaced lines to try and cover the areas that we know are really important. With the heritage work that we've done to date, we will be able to get straight back into work next year, because we will have to have a bit of a rest over the wet season. There more than likely will be cyclones in this area, where we will aim to sort of stop working by the middle to, or just before Christmas, middle of December, and we'll be able to come straight back into drilling without any further requirement for approvals next year, which is really the first time we've managed to do that, in the last few years that I've been with Novo.
In terms of the results that you hope to get back here, this is early on drilling. What are you looking for? What drill results would be considered a success here?
Oh, I think we've actually already got some of them. Corey, we'll go on to the next slide. Actually, looks to the actual numbers in the returned air core results. So let's just quickly then talk to the figure. The blue lines are the air core drilling that we've completed to date. We don't have all of the results back from that program. We do have about 60% of the results back. We're doing gold by photon assay, which we really like. We've shown how well that works, around the Egina District. And we're also doing follow-up multi-element analyses for the bottom of the holes of the air core to try and help vector into the most important places. We've done over 26,000 metres in over 1,000 holes now, air core holes. And we've also started RC drilling just recently, in the last 2 weeks, actually. So we've just completed the first of a larger program of RC drilling. So the RC is a deeper drilling technique. It will test the air core anomalies, but we've also got significant separate, more detailed prospects that we've developed completely separately to the air core drilling. And lo and behold, it's really you can see on this diagram that the work is actually focusing us in as one of the major prospect areas to a sort of an area where the Heckmeyer shear and the Irvine shear comes together. So there's another update on the next slide, but that one of those red boxes shows the sort of the coeval Heckmeyer and Irvine shear zones coming together, and really there's a lot of gold and a lot of arsenic particularly floating around in that area. We do have some results from the air core to support that, which you'll see in a moment. The other thing to point out on this one is the low prospect. So that's up in the northeastern part, and that's that second red box to the northeastern part of the ground. Again, don't have results back from that yet, but the alteration and the quartz veining looks really interesting, and that's right throughout those 4 lines. And I do also want to point out the scale, because people don't often get the scale on these diagrams. Those little blue lines that you see are actually around 600 metres apart. So 2 of those lines, you've got a trend that's like 1 kilometre long. So we're doing some very systematic broad-spaced work at the moment, but we'll follow up pretty quickly on any anomalism that comes our way from that work. And here are the results of the results that we have to date. So let me just go back and point out. So the box that is actually noted in there as the red box called Irvine Heckmeyer prospect, that's what this box actually looks like, and these are the results that we have to date. So these holes are the only ones that have been drilled. There are some infill drilling in the air core that will be done, and we've just started some RC drilling, which was really designed completely separately. It's all leading us into this area, and it's a really high priority project for us now. We'll continue with that drilling work. Again, the RC drilling is looking great to begin with. Alteration, quartz veining, sulfides up to 5%. And you can see from the air core, we've actually got some really good first pass results that are coming out, and all the anomaly sits in this area as well. So we're pretty excited by this one. We've only done that first line of RC drilling follow-up there at the moment with a dozen holes or so, but again, looking really great. And, even the air core has up to 4 grams over 4 meters in the first pass air core, which is pretty exciting stuff.
Kas, can you explain a little bit more in terms of what air core drilling is, just to bring everybody up to speed, please?
Sure. Let me just have a quick flick over to this one. So this is actually an air core rig in production at the moment. For a lot of areas where there is a cover sequence, so there's a sandy or a clay-rich cover which covers over the rocks. This is the easiest and quickest way to penetrate through that and to get into the basement rocks, which is really what we want to test. So we use aircore as a quick, systematic look across all of these zones that we've interpreted that we really like. So all of these shear zones now, the Irving shear corridor, the Hecmo shear zone, you'll see that the lines are actually sort of orthogonally placed across these major shear corridors, with the idea of getting under any cover and getting straight into the rock and finding the gold or the pathfinders such as arsenic or antimony, tungsten, copper, gold, silver, whatever. So it's a really good way of fast tracking where we want to be, because the RC drilling is slower, it's more expensive, and we really want to make sure we're in the right place, obviously, once we do deeper drilling with RC rigs.
Quinton, let's get you in here quickly. We hear a lot about the De Grey resource that sounds like it borders this property almost perfectly. What big picture, Quinton, do you think is possible here? How much does that carry over to what Novo is doing?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Corey, or whoever asked it. Look, if you look at this map, you kind of get a sense of a bit of symmetry in the geology here. You can see these pink blobs. Those are large granite bodies. They're intrusions of granite that came up into the country rock here. And the country rock is dominated mainly by sedimentary rocks, some volcanic rocks. Anyway, when those granites came up, they create what are called pressure shadows around either end of them. Okay, they're kind of lozenge shape. They look like a bit like a lemon, if you will. Okay, so over here at Hemi, you can see that the lozenge shape around the structures, the black lines around the granite intrusion there, kind of trend, we'll call it from the north or east northeast to the west southwest, and Hemi happens to sit in the pressure shadow on that western side. Okay, Becher happens to sit on the eastern side of a pressure shadow that's adjacent to the pink blob underneath the word Becher there. There's a pink granite, very similar in size, very similar in nature to the one seen over at Hemi. And again, we think that basically we have kind of a mirror image, if you will, of the geology here. So that's why we're quite hopeful that we might see a structural domain, basically a setting in which a deposit could form that's very similar to Hemi. Now, at Hemi, they do find that the mineralization is closely tied to other igneous rocks, not necessarily the granites that you see in pink, but smaller intrusive bodies, which are termed sanucatoids. Sanucatoid is simply a name for a magnesium-rich granite, and these sanucatoids came up at a somewhat different time than the pink ones. They came up, I think they were more closely timed with the metamorphism of the sedimentary rocks that form the country in this area. All right. Anyway, these sanucatoids, they seem to be very closely associated with the gold mineralization. They might even have been the drivers for that. My hunch is that the granites, these granites, the big pink blobs, were probably melting and trying to poke their way up, but they were sending up little precursor granites that I think formed the gold mineralization, and then the granites subsequently followed. So you end up with this kind of holistic picture of these pressure shadows and these related sanucatoids around them. Who knows? Maybe we have a similar setting to that at Becher. If we do, I think we'll find it with the air core drilling. Air core is, in my view, it's a glorified way of almost like soil sampling. It's just testing the very, very uppermost part of the basement rocks. It's quickly drilling holes in succession to see what the bedrock below the soil or the wind-blown sands and whatever might hold. Okay, so it's a first pass to see what's happening. To date, as Kas said, we have seen some interesting results, in particular in gold, and they're very similar to the results that we're seeing early days by De Grey at Hemi. So we are seeing styles of air core results that are reminiscent of what they found early on at Hemi.
Okay. Thank you, Quinton. Thank you for bringing us up to speed here. I guess I'll ask you a follow-up. In terms of follow-up work, then, how much needs to be done here to prove up what Hemi has? Like, they're much further along, but this is still early on at Becher.
Yeah, this is early days exploration. So we're basically where De Grey would have been, say, when was Hemi first found? I think it was in early 2018 or maybe early 2019. I can't remember which year it was, but it was a few years back, we'll call it. So we're basically in those early days. The RC drilling that we're going to be doing here, or that we've started and will continue next year, is going to be the next phase. See if we can drill a bit deeper and find those gold deposits of similar nature. All right, so that's we're basically about 3 years behind where they are currently at Hemi. But if we make a discovery here, Hemi is about a 10 million ounce gold endowment. So that's the kind of prize we're looking for.
And Corey, I think the other way to put it is we're going to have 2 drill rigs drilling Becher as soon as we can get back in there post-cyclone season, as Kaz talked about. So, well over 50% of Kaz's exploration effort in 2023 will be in the Egina District. So that kind of really shows how high priority it is for us and our excitement of the potential.
Yeah, I think that does say a lot. Okay, Kas, continue on. Thank you.
Okay, so this is just a quick update on Nunyerry. We did most of this work in late 2021 and then earlier this year, and then we really haven't gone back out there until later on this year. We've just finished a short heli survey across the area just to go and truth check and fact check everything, really in preparation for drill planning for next year. So this is a fantastic anomaly. It's pristine. There's hints of gold that were in the early days work that was completed in the Creasy joint venture, which is we have a joint venture here with the Creasy group. But we went back and did a more systematic soil sample grid, and you can see a 1.4-ish kilometer long strike anomaly of high level gold in the no doubt high level gold in the soils. If you go through our more recent press releases, you'll see that we've got really high grade numbers in the soils, and there's some examples there. 2.5 grams in a soil sample is almost ridiculous. It's fantastic. Ditto with some of the rock chip samples up to an ounce of gold in the rock chip samples that have been assayed, as well as we did a bit of prospecting out there with metal detectors for a couple of hours whilst the guys were waiting for the geos to finish, and found some pretty interesting looking specimen gold nuggets all as part of this district. So we can't wait to get back out there next year with a drill rig. It is a little more complex than Becher. You can see from the topo there, it's very hilly. The access is a bit more difficult, but we've been working on it for a while now, and I've no doubt we'll be able to get back in there next year. Okay, so then really just moving forwards, obviously we do have to suspend the air core and the diamond drill and the RC drilling. It's all weather permitting at the moment, depending on when the cyclones come across. I can't remember the last time there wasn't a cyclone up north, and Becher is in the flattest, most bog-worthy. I mean, its real access is really not going to be good in the wet season, so we have to be really careful about drilling up until that sort of seasonal work has to stop, basically. And then as soon as we can get back in there early next year, obviously we've got a camp out there at Station Peak, so we'll be watching that really carefully, and we'll get back with both air core and RC drilling follow-up as soon as possible. As I said, we've still got 60% or more of the air core results to come back in, as well as the RC follow-up results. And we're ahead of the game because we've got all the compliance done that we need to do with heritage, with government compliance and everything. So we're ahead of the game this year, and we'll be straight back into working on the prospects as soon as everything finishes this year.
Mike, let's get you in here too, just for another kind of reminder on the overall big picture here. Like, this is an exploration play, right? And you're fairly early on, but you're in the right area. So give us an overview of what you think drives this company.
So, look, without any doubt, as Kas said, I think a really important thing for people to look forwards is we'll get most of the results from the drilling program that we're doing now in late January. So there will be another big exploration update late January, early February. And, you know, where we are situated at the moment as a company, as I said, we've got $50 million in the bank. We're debt-free. We're well positioned to support our world-class exploration team moving into 2023. The focus will be predominantly on exploration, and within that portfolio, what you've heard today about the Egina District is really exciting. And, you know, Quinton went through very well the geological similarities that we're seeing between now and the De Grey Mining's Malina project. You know, De Grey's got a market cap of well over $1 billion and are pushing forwards into feasibility studies. So I definitely see going forwards that exploration, aggressive approach. We've got a great team that will drive shareholder value, and there'll definitely be lots of results going forward. So I see the first half of next year as being very exciting for Kas and her team, all supported by our heritage environmental approvals team, because without their work, we can't get on the ground to drill holes. So really great position for the company going forwards.
All right, Quinton, let's get you in here. Because, Quinton, in all fairness, you do work with a number of exploration companies, right? Novo does have some good prospects here. What do you see as the value proposition? We're on this slide. Take us through what you think drives this company.
Yeah, Corey, look, over the past few years, really starting around 2017, we started to grab up some land, okay? And the Pilbara is turning out to be a well-endowed region. You've seen a large number of discoveries. What we just talked about, Hemi, and De Grey's discovery at Hemi is an excellent example. You've seen a number of projects move forward. Calidus has built their mine at down by Marble Bar, for example. But you've also seen other discoveries, base metals and other types of metal, lithium and so forth, have really popped up. So I would like to say that Novo had a big hand in driving and initially catalyzing this hard look at the Pilbara and ultimate success that we've seen here over the years. But we are the first mover, and we do hold an exceptional portfolio of land across the region. I think that's our biggest and strongest asset right there. You have to have a great exploration team. Kas's team is an exceptional team. A lot of very well-seasoned explorers who've been in the bush and built projects from the ground up. And that's what you need in an environment like this. You've got a situation where there's very little of any exploration in some of these locations, right? So we've got a good team who can take it from that grassroots level all the way through drilling, drill stage and advanced stages, as we've demonstrated. Next, you need to have cash. We've got cash. We got over $52 million in the bank. We got about $20 million in investments. That's a blessing for this company. We were very fortunate to make a good investment in Newfound. We benefited from that earlier this year, and that's put us in a very strong position. We have morphed back into an exploration company. We were producing up until a few months ago. We've mined most of the available oxides at this point, and we're now stepping back, looking at the Beaton's Creek project, where we put that together is going to be the subject of a lot of work over the next few months, but also seeking permits around fresh mining and so forth. That's an important part of our future. To do that, we've also built a team who've focused on ESG. You can see in the upper right-hand side. You can also see that we've got really a good track record now of exploration success in a number of areas. We've demonstrated new discoveries in the in the East Pilbara region around Nullagine. We're now starting to see some early stage excitement, we'll call it, at Egina. And I think we're going to see a lot more. We've got a lot of money, and now we can explore this land like we've truly needed to do for many years now.
really has been a company that has a lot of land in this area. That, Quinton, you're right, you brought in a lot of interest here, and there's other companies that have built up assets. Novo has too, but some of these other companies have passed Novo by. So Mike, before we wrap it up here, just remind everybody about the news they should be looking for and the news that actually matters for the company in terms of building resources, building value for the stock.
Yeah, so definitely the most important news flow that people should look out for is late January, early February will be a large exploration update of all the results that we've seen at Becher. And as part of that update, you'll see some of those maps showing the highlights for RC drilling as we move into the drilling season in early March. So that'll be the next big catalyst that people will see. We'll continue to update people on some other results from Victoria and elsewhere, but at the moment, Becher is our big focus. So everyone keep an eye out for that in late January, early February.
All right. Kas, Mike, Quinton, thank you very much for giving us an update here on what Novo is doing. You guys have money. You are drilling. You're testing out a lot of different areas. So we'll follow along as the news keeps on coming out. If anybody has any follow-up questions, please email me directly, fleck@kereport.com. In the meantime, I'll keep bringing the company on for updates in terms of updates from drilling, mostly drilling results, because I think that's what moves the needle. In the meantime, well, guys, keep up the good work. Let us know when more news hits the market. And again, please, everyone, send me your questions. Kas, Mike, Quinton, everyone, thank you for your time today.
Thanks, Corey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Corey.